This is the story recap of a fisherman named John who goes fishing in the sea with his small boat as usual. But this day, something different happens. Suddenly, a thick fog falls all around and nothing can be seen in the distance. John loses his way and, wandering here and there, sees a deserted boat. Out of curiosity, he decides to tie his boat to it and go inside, and as soon as he gets inside the boat, he is shocked. The entire boat was empty. There are no people, no sounds, just mysterious silence. When John got on that mysterious boat, everything seemed normal. The food was fresh, the clothes were neatly laid out, and there were signs of human presence everywhere. But there was no one inside. He tries to start the boat, but the engine is not working. John is surprised to see a lonely and empty boat in such a vast sea. He tries to look around with binoculars. Maybe someone is nearby, but the thick fog has covered everything. Frustrated, he returned to the control room and turned on the radio that was lying there, intending to send a signal for help. John sent a message on the radio that this boat was stranded at sea. If anyone can hear, please answer. After sending the message, he thought that now he should return to his small boat, but when he came out, his boat was not there, although he had tied it up properly. His surprise increased even more when he saw that the fog that had spread around had suddenly cleared and the sky had completely cleared. It was now afternoon, and seeing this, John could not understand what was really happening here. Seeing no other way back, he returned to the same empty ship and started looking for a way with the help of a map. John was now trying to understand where he was and how he would get home. But the problem was that the engine of that mysterious boat was not working. If he was to survive, he had to fix the engine at any cost. He searched the whole ship for toolboxes, and after much effort, he fixed the engine. This was a great relief for him. Now the boat was moving, and he was gradually able to understand the direction. But the danger was not over yet. John went to the control room and contacted the radio again. But this time, there was no answer. Everything was still shrouded in mystery. Then the boy came up, and suddenly he had to go to the toilet. There was no one around then, so he thought he would do it in the sea. But as soon as he reached one side, someone suddenly pushed him from behind, and he fell straight into the water. The situation was very dangerous, but he somehow saved himself from drowning by holding on to the steel. The wind and water pressure were so great that it was difficult to get back into the boat. But he did not give up. He gathered courage and slowly stood up on the boat with the help of the stilts. In the midst of all this, his work was not finished, so he started to go to the toilet again. When he went downstairs, someone suddenly closed the door. John at first thought that it might have been closed by the wind, but he did not pay attention. But when he tried to get out, he found that the door was locked from the inside. He was shocked to see this. He tried with all his might to open the door, even taking a coin from his pocket and inserting it into the lock to open it, but everything failed. Now he began to feel that he was not alone on this ship. There was someone here who was bothering him, who could not be seen but who was always present. He began to feel as if someone was playing with him. He shouted loudly, "Whoever you are, please open the door. I am not a thief. I have just come to see." But there was no response. Now he realized that it was useless to hope for help. He walked towards the cabin, and what he saw inside scared him. There were bloodstains, a terrible atmosphere, but he ignored his fear and picked up a pair of scissors and tried to open the door. But the lock still did not open. Then the whole boat started to shake violently, as if something big was about to happen. John became very nervous, and then his eyes fell on a window above. He somehow looked around through that window. From a distance, he saw a huge cargo ship coming towards him. The ship was heading straight for the boat. John realized that if the ship collided, everything would be over. Now he had to save his life at any cost. He thought of giving a signal, but there was nothing he could do. He immediately took off his shirt and started waving it loudly so that someone on the cargo ship would see him. But alas, no one noticed him after all his efforts. Now John had to save his life at any cost. If his boat continued to move forward like this, then everything could end in a collision with the cargo ship. Then his eyes fell on a rope hanging near the window. An idea immediately came to his mind. If he used this rope, he might be able to stop the ship. He quickly tied the rope and threw it out so that the boat would stop moving. But the situation got worse. The rope got caught in the engine fan, and as he was being pulled into the bathroom, it got stuck around his neck. He started to suffocate. When he was on the verge of death, he showed courage and freed himself with a device. His neck was completely red and he was almost dead, but managed to save himself at the last moment. The rope caught in the ship's engine, which slowed the ship down, but that wasn't enough. The heavy freighter still crashed into it. Due to the strong collision, his ship shook violently and John fell to the ground unconscious. He received a deep blow to the head. When he regained consciousness after a while, he saw that the bathroom was filled with water. But the most surprising thing was that it was not salty seawater, but very clean and fresh water, as if someone was deliberately trying to scare him. He broke down again and begged, "Whoever you are, please let me go." But still there was no response. Now he was hungry, thirsty, and very weak. Somehow he drank a few drops of water from the bathroom shower, but soon he realized that the water was gone. Then he was surprised when he started to drink from the basin. Now the water was salty. He immediately realized that there was a hole somewhere in the boat, and seawater was getting in. This boat would not last much longer. He panicked and tried to open the door, but it seemed that someone had locked it from the outside. It was night, and looking up, it seemed that some invisible evil spirit was probably hiding there, and that invisible evil force was controlling this boat. The water was rising rapidly, and John fell asleep due to fatigue. At night, a terrible storm raged at sea, as a result of which the boat was seriously damaged, and John was also seriously injured. When he opened his eyes in the morning, the water had reached his head. Only his face was above the water. Now he began to feel that only a few moments remained. Then suddenly, a light click was heard from somewhere, as if something had opened. Then John turned the handle, and the door opened with a loud noise. The water pressure was so great that the door collapsed, and in this way he got out. As soon as he got out, he went straight to the roof of the boat so that he could breathe fresh air, because the oxygen below was almost gone. Now he was convinced that some invisible force wanted to cause him excruciating pain at any cost. He was physically and mentally broken, and the water below was constantly filling. He realized that now the boat could sink at any time. Then John decided that he would not stay on this ship anymore. Then an idea came to his mind. He took the airbag out of the ship and made a small raft using the broken bathroom door. He tied everything tightly so that the raft could float, but he needed some more essential items to operate the raft. He gathered food, water, and necessary equipment from the ship and prepared himself completely. Then, without looking back, he got off the ship and got on the raft and started moving slowly in the sea. Now he was on the raft, and in front of him was still that big boat. Many hours passed while riding the raft, but he could not go far, and the boat did not even sink. He thought that the big boat would sink in 5 to 10 minutes, but the boat was still in the same condition. Then an idea came to his mind. Since the boat had not sunk yet, then fixing the leakage of this boat would be the right thing to do. If that happens, then he would be able to travel comfortably in this powerful boat. Thinking this, he went back to the boat and first he fixed the leakage. Then he made a pump with pipes and tools to pump out the water. Then with the help of the pump he made, the seawater filled in the boat slowly came out. After fixing the leakage and draining the water, he also fixed the rest of the problems of the ship. Along with this, he also repaired it from the outside so that there would be no more problems during the journey. After waking up after work, he tried to ask for help again through the radio. But this time, there was no response. Frustrated, he returned, took out the map, and tried to find the way again, and tried to move the boat forward, but as soon as he started the engine, the boat did not move. As if the boat was deceiving him again. The boat was absolutely still, as if it had stuck to the water like glue, and this thought was breaking him from the inside. He was completely exhausted, and he was losing hope, but then in the distance he saw another ship coming. Now he had only one way, to reach that ship with his small raft. He immediately got on the raft and headed towards the ship. But suddenly, his ship started moving, and it started moving towards John as if someone had deliberately sent it towards him. John increased his speed, but the huge ship moved even faster. But just before the ship hit him, John made a last-ditch effort and decided to jump out of his boat and swim to another boat. But when he reached there, that boat disappeared. Then he realized that this mysterious boat, there was an evil force which was trying to take him somewhere. That is why it was not letting him go anywhere. He decided that even if he lost his life, he would not go back to this boat. But by evening, the water began to get colder as he swam. Dolphins were swimming at the bottom, and the water temperature had dropped significantly. Unable to bear the cold, he returned to the same boat helplessly. He was so tired and sick that he could not think of anything. He quietly covered himself with a blanket and went to sleep in the room. When he opened his eyes in the morning, he decided to leave this ship again. But now he got another shock, because the door of the room was closed and he was scared and slowly started to lose his mental balance. He did not understand why all this was happening to him. Then his eyes fell on a small cabin in the room. As soon as he opened it, he saw a path upwards. In fact, it was a ventilation system through which he could get out. He entered the cabin, which was a narrow storage area. Every time he tried to climb up from the storage area, he kept slipping and falling. He also got injured a lot due to the fall, but he did not give up. After falling and falling again, he finally reached up again and tried to open that window, but it did not move at all. It seemed as if it had been sealed intentionally. Now the oxygen was running out quickly. It was hard to breathe, and the door below was also closed. That's why he couldn't even go back to the house. He began to feel that his last hour had come. But then he heard the same mysterious click again. As soon as the cabin window opened with a click, John came out without wasting any time. The fresh air gave him some relief. Coming out, he saw that the boat was heading towards a small island. Seeing this, he had hope that maybe this time he would be free from this terrible boat forever. As soon as the boat reached the shore, he got off. He felt that there must be someone on this island who was responsible for all this. In anger, he picked up a stick and started looking for him on the island, but soon he was surprised, because there was no sign of a person on the entire island. Now John was seething with anger and fear again, and as soon as he left the island, a new scene flashed before his eyes. The mysterious boat that had brought him here was now moving forward on its own towards the calm sea, as if looking for another new prey. Seeing this, John was completely convinced that this boat and this island were under the control of some evil force. He had to get out of here at any cost. His life was still left, and as he searched, he reached the highest peak of the island, and from there he saw another island far away, but it was so far away that he could not see what was really happening there. John slowly walked back around the island, but when he reached it, his eyes went up to his forehead. In fact, this is the place from where his journey began. Everything was fine there. Everything was the same. Even his old boat was tied up in the same place, and the same people were there. The ones he saw in the exact same condition when he left, but still nothing had changed here, and nothing had happened. The whole environment was the same as before, and John was watching everything. But he couldn't believe anything. Everything seemed like a nightmare to him. Did these terrible things really happen to him? Or was it all his nightmare? But now the question is, how did his boat get there again if it was a nightmare? And what is the secret of this island? He couldn't believe that all this was real or a bad dream. Or was everything he experienced true? What do you think about this? Please comment your opinion. Thank you.